of supporters of the Benjamin Dixon Show by going to www.patreon.com/the BPD Show. We can't do this without you. We absolutely cannot. Okay, shifting gears, Rand Paul. I just want to, I want to juxtapose the Republican plan to help you pay off your student loan debt with not even the Democratic plan, because it's not the Democratic plan. It's the Bernie Sanders and somewhat the Elizabeth Warren plan to help you get out of debt, student loan debt. Rand Paul tweeted out yesterday very excitedly, like he really thought this was a great idea, that he's proposing legislation that will allow you to use money out of your retirement in order to pay student loans. So he said, I'm excited, quote, I'm excited to announce my plan to help alleviate student loan debt. The Helper Act would allow individuals to use money from their 401k or their IRA to pay for college or to pay back student loan debt. And he said, watch the video, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to play the video because I want to just discuss the absurdity of this. The Republican solution for helping America with its $1.6 trillion in student loan debt is for you to take money out of your retirement to pay for it. And I'm sure he's going to say, well, if you take money out of it, I haven't read the entire act, but if there's at least not a tax benefit in this, whereas you could take, like right now, if you take money out of your IRA, your 401k, you get penalized. And quite honestly, I think most of you listening to this probably know that firsthand, because at some point in this life in capitalism, you have had to take money out of your retirement if you ever had one to begin with. So I'm sure what he's saying here, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, even in its most crappy form, is that there's going to be some type of tax benefit. You won't get penalized to take money out of your IRA or your 401k to use it to pay for college or to use it to pay for student loan debt. Compared to Bernie Sanders, who's saying, you know what? Education is such a contribution to the development of our society. Better yet, let me say it very straightforward. Our GDP goes up the more educated our population is. And because anyone who gets an education is doing a favor to this country, cancel all the debt, all 1.6 trillion. That's another reason. I mean, it's very difficult not to support Bernie Sanders because of the absurdity of the student loan debt. I mean, how many of you are paying student loans now? And you, I really want to say what I want to say on the air, but I can't make this confession with regard to my intentions for Sallie Mae. Like Sallie Mae, if I was in a relationship with Sallie Mae, let's just say she knows what being ghosted is like. But anyway, how many of you have been paying your student loans and realize that you haven't even put a dent in it? It is extremely absurd when other developed nations in this world, on this planet, have been giving free college education to their students all the way back to the 50s and 40s. It's only in America that we allow ourselves to be plundered for the sake of capitalism. And then we say, we think of it, we have this twisted, diluted sense of patriotism when we don't ask for anything, when we give America everything, but don't ask for anything in return. It is the height of absurdity when you consider people honestly think that they should never ask the government for free education. That's a handout. Well, Rand Paul said, I'm going to help you out with that. Take from your retirement and use it to pay for college and to pay for student debt. Well, here's the gag, people. 66% of millennials have nothing saved for retirement. In fact, I believe that's the case for most Americans. Most Americans can't even afford a $400 emergency. But if you want to talk about taking out of retirement, 66% of millennials have nothing saved for retirement. And this doesn't even take into account a threshold. Like some people have $500 in a retirement or $1,000 or $4,000. I think I saw an average of most Americans not having more than $4,000 in their retirement. But those are the lucky ones. 66% of millennials have nothing. So it's going to be really difficult for you to pay for your retirement or rather to pay off your student loan debt with your retirement when you have no retirement. There's a structural, here's the last thing I'll say about this. I always remember hearing anecdotes growing up about children being worse off than their parents, children not doing as good as their parents. And I'm sure you've heard this too. It was always just kind of anecdotal, but then you start hearing it all the time. And then it became a cautionary tale of why you should work really, really hard because, your older brother isn't doing as good as I am. Or your neighbor's kids are having to move back in their 30s. But when 66% of millennials have nothing saved for retirement, that is a systemic problem. That is a problem that we created. When I say we, I mean America. We created that not by our bad financial behavior, not on the individual level, but by bad financial decisions that we made that shifted the wealth in this country inextricably to the top. I mean, without question, the moves that were made in 1981, the Roth-Kemp tax cuts, Ronald Reagan bringing Margaret Thatcher-styled neoliberalism to the United States of America shifted this paradigm to where wages have not increased or kept up with the cost of living, and it is impossible for people to save money. How can you save money when 95 to 125% of your income goes out simply to survive? How do you do it? One, you don't do it, but how do you get away with it? In America, you get away with it by attaching some sense of patriotic duty to hard work, when the reality is no matter how hard you work in this country, the wages are too low and the rent,
it's too damn high.
So kings could do no